Brendan, weekly update. Scott's situation, there was a suggestion maybe he would have made his mind up over the last 7 days. Has that progressed at all? Or is...
Nothing to add to that. Scott has spoken with Peter and I had a meeting there, but there's nothing to add to it. So we will let you know in time.
In terms of your situation now, do you feel that the players you've brought in thus far have added an injection of something to your group?
Yeah, they've been excellent. Oliver and Timothy have both been very, very good. They've settled into our style really, really well, very quickly. Both boys have really enjoyed being here in the environment. You know, it's very much a culture that we have here of development and improving players, and these are two young players that have come in to want to do exactly that. So you've seen as they've played, both of them are quite flexible in where they can play. And they both enjoy playing along that forward line, and both have been very, very good. So now it's been good to see them smiling and enjoying their time here, and of course very early they've contributed, which is great.
I was going to say, it's the real bonus, the fact that they hit the ground running and you've got a return on your outlay almost immediately.
Yeah, but it's not something that I worry so much about. I think they're in here to make an impact over the course of the remainder of the season. It's great that they've come in and settled in well, but that's also because of the profile of player that they are. You know, they fit the dynamic of this team, where they're fast, they're quick, they want to score goals and create goals, but they've come in and settled in very quickly into it all. So yeah, it's great, but we want to keep that going now and develop them over the course of the remainder of the season.
Have you noticed they've given the rest of the guys a boost?
Yeah, good players always do that. I think that's the importance of bringing in fresh faces, but not just fresh faces. It's good players. You know, I think you both see their calibre. And Timothy, for an 18-year-old, he's very mature, but he's got a clear vision of where he wants to go in his football career, and he works ever so hard to do that. Great kid, has come in, settled in very, very well, and you can see the response that he's had when he's played, and you can see very early the supporters really like him. And the same way Oliver, you know, it's been probably a trying couple of seasons for him in terms of everything that's going on, but I think what's very clear is he's a huge talent, and we're here to help develop that, and in turn that'll be good for Celtic.
Was that performance during the week an indication he's ready to just kick on now, to win a point clear at the top?
What, the team? Yeah. I think it's one where we just take each game. I said to the players before the game on Wednesday that we made a good start in our cup game, but what we've done very well, and I think it's the mark of good teams, is that you can go into a midweek game and your next game and be even better. And it was so pleasing, the performance the other day, because you know, we've been 2.5 years here creating an identity on how we work and how we play, and that was very apparent the other night in the game. You know, there was good speed in our game, real intensity in our game, lots of creativity, but above all else, fundamentally, the players work so hard defensively to try and sustain those attacks. So it was brilliant, and then to see the likes of young Ewan Henderson coming in and slotting straight into it, you know, as a really, really gifted young player. You know, also part of the development here at the club is bringing our young players through. You know, that always was the vision, to help them develop and make their way into the first team. And him coming on and creating a goal and playing well was fantastic. So we concentrate on ourselves. There's very good teams around us, and we have to just focus on bringing that intensity into every game, and if we can do that, it gives us a chance to win games.
You played Ollie Burke obviously up front, Brendan. Do you think that might be his strongest position in the long term, or how do you see that?
Yeah, for me, having worked in coaching for nearly 25 years and seeing players, I think all players will have one or two positions that they can play, and then they'll have preferred positions. And I think that Oliver's equally as comfortable playing up front as he would be wide. I think the difference when he's played up front, you need to coach him in that, and you need to develop him, and you need to, you know, people will say we'll put an arm around him, but it's a bit more than that. you got to help him on the field. You got to sit down and go through, like we've done, analysing his game. But he has all the tools to be an outstanding front player, whether that's through the middle or wide. The difference with the modern game is wide. You need to be able to press the game and get up and down the line. And for me, I think he can do that. But I think he can, with his profile of player, I think he can be a central threat with and without the ball. So, but he's a player that will play across the line, I'm sure, in his time here. But I know he's really, really enjoying playing through the middle, because it allows him to cover both sides of the pitch with his speed. He's very good technically, and it's just coaching him to get into the right areas to score. But some of that he does naturally.
How satisfying is that for you, trying to get the most out of a player with clearly has bundles of potential?
That's coaching and managing. That's what I enjoy doing, and I love that side of it. Like I say, sometimes the young players, the especially the likes of Oliver, who are hugely talented players, and then they have this price tag latched onto them, and then people can think that they know all about the game. My experience in working with even the best players in the world is that they always want to learn and they want to be better. So why shouldn't a young boy of 21 who's still finding his way in the game not want to learn? But it's been great having him here, because the few weeks he's been here, he's got a real appetite to learn. And what he does is he takes it on board, which is great. So that's the reason for him being here. One, he can help us with his qualities, but our job as coaches is to develop the strengths of players and make them better. And with him, he's got so many strengths, and thus far he's shown that in the few games that he's played.
You talked about Marian Schved the other night, about that deal being quite close. Is it completed yet, Brendan, or how close is it now?
Yeah, I don't think it's completed yet, but I think it will hopefully be done by the beginning of next week.
Yeah, you said that you had a million other wingers at the club. You didn't know too much about them. How does the recruitment policy work at the moment at Celtic? Is it a collective thing, or how would you sum it up?
No, listen, I don't think I need to sit and share with you how we work internally here at the club. I think what I said the other night was the player was very talented. I was very honest with you in saying that I hadn't seen a great deal of him. He's come into our thinking late on. There's an opportunity there for the football club to purchase a very talented young player. And then what we'll do with all the players that ever come to the club is have a look at what their development plan would be, and then assess where the next steps for him might be, whether that's here or whether that's going outside to play and continue with his development games and coming back in the summer. But that's something that, if the deal gets tied up, we'll look at that.
Brendan, on that note, how important is it for you in this window, even if, say, the likes of Marion does come in and put on loan joints in the summer, but in light of the competition this season, how important is it for you that any further recruitments you make in January are players that are ready to play in January?
Listen, I'm happy with the squad that we have. You know, we're open to bringing in players of quality, and I think that is what is key for us. And we've known in the summer what were the areas of quality and what we wanted to achieve. But they're not always available, and they're not always affordable. So, but whatever or whoever comes in or doesn't come in, we will work with the players that we have here. We've got a fantastic squad. If another player doesn't walk in the building, we've got a fantastic squad. Once they're back, Tom's back, Kieran comes back, and then we've got a fantastic squad of players here. So our aim is to continue to focus on ourselves, develop the players, and like I say, if we can bring in players into the areas that we would like, absolutely great. If not, we'll work with what we've got, and the players will continually improve, because it's a very, very young group.
But is that, going back to that point, is that with a view to hitting the ground running this month as opposed to bedding them in for the summer?
Sorry?
So is that with a view to them being potentially starters when they join, as opposed to them bedding them in, as opposed to bedding them in for the summer and next season?
What, in terms of the players that we would bring in?
Bring in now, yes.
Well, naturally, you want them to come in, and I think with this squad, there's lots of good players, but we have a very, very strong team here, and that's grown over the last couple of years. Like I say, we lost important players, but for us to bring in players, they have to, and it's difficult with the market that we're in, to bring in those players that can come in and go above what we have. It's very, very tough. It's very, very difficult for us. And like I say, we can't just bring in players just for the sake of it coming up on the screen that Celtic have signed a player. You know, our job is to develop players, coach them, make them better. And my first look is always within. You know, my first look is always within our academy. Do we have players there that can come in and develop? If not, then we'll look at players to bring in from outside. Whether we can afford them, whether they're available, that's ongoing.
Given that you've brought a couple of bodies in already,
Yeah.
you've got the likes of Bayo and Olsen to come back and get up to speed. Is it quite refreshing having those options in the final third that you maybe didn't have at the tail end of last year?
Yeah, I think very quickly, if you see the difference in the speed of our game, like I said, towards the tail end of last year, we were, in terms of our numbers, we were clearly down. But bringing in the players that we have done has been given the squad a great injection of energy. It's given us that real threat, helped us with that threat at the top end of the field. And like you say, we play so many games, it keeps us fresh and gives us the options. But I also have to be mindful as well that both Timothy and Oliver are coming out of hardly playing senior football, you know, for quite a long time. So these early stages, we have to just manage their game time just to ensure that they don't break with injury. But both boys have settled really well, and like you say, it's given us that great energy at the top of the field.
Was Bayo training today?
Yeah, he's trained, and it's going to take him a little bit of time to get up to speed. But he's trained the last couple of days and looked very good.
Hamilton tomorrow, what do you make of the challenge that they pose you?
Yeah, always make the game very difficult. No, it's been a difficult period for Martin, but I think Martin's done a brilliant job in his time there. You know, he loses players. He's always up against it in the league. So for him to keep Hamilton in the league he's done a wonderful job. And I've never known him until I came up to here, but from afar, looking at the work that he does and the conditions that he works with, he's done a very, very good job. So they always make it tough for us, whether it's home or away. And we have to be ready for a tough game.
I've had plenty of practice in the last two games of coming up against that sort of low block. Is that the same as you'd expect tomorrow?
Yeah, I think that they will probably look to be nice and compact. It's something that we spoke about in our mid-season break when we were away, that there's going to be a run of games where the pitch will be quite compact for us, so we have to find the solutions to break through that. And like I say, the beauty of watching the team the other night was that the positioning of the team, the energy in the team, and like I say, that creativity. So yeah, it was very good. It was very compact, and it was good to see the players express themselves all within the structure of the team to score goals and be very creative.
What's the latest on Kieran Tierney, Brendan?
No change from, like I say, from last week. I think what we're hopefully earmarking the beginning of February for Kieran to be back on the field.
Jedrick return?
No, I think he'll probably just miss out tomorrow.
Any other knocks, bumps?
No changes from the likes of like Tony Ralston we'd said to you before, so everything else the same.
Just one final point for me.
Yeah.
Respecting the privacy of the conversation between Scott and Peter, can we read from that Scott has informed both the club and yourself what he intends to do?
I don't know. I wasn't in the conversation.
Right. Just thought it might have been really bad to you.
Yeah, it's not.
Brendan, you said after the Airdrie game that Scott Bain helped improve the speed of Celtic's game. With players like Manuel Neuer and Ederson redefining our understanding of the functions of a modern goalkeeper, how do you view the role of your own goalkeeper within your own team beyond simply being a shot stopper?
Well, I think if you look at through my history as a coach, I've always had goalkeepers that, you know, that participate in the game. You know, for me, it's not 10. When you have the ball, it's not 10 outfield players and a goalkeeper. It's 11 players. You know, the build-up of the game has always been very important in my team. So I've always tried to have players that have had that comfort with the ball. And I think if you look at all the goalkeepers here at Celtic, from the first team keepers through to Ross Doohan, Ayr and Conor Hazard out at Partick, they all have a comfort, not just a comfort with the ball, but they understand their lines of pass when they have it. So so for me, it's always been a very, very important factor in the framework of our team, and the build-up is a very important part of the game now, and especially with the big teams. You know, if you're an attacking team, it is very, very important. So, and you see that in teams now. If you watch it in the Premier League, you know, the keepers that you mentioned and the European keepers, they all can deal with the ball as well as make saves. So that's part of the change in the tactics of the game for, in particular, really offensive coaches.